Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. How are you? Woo! I am Jean Bell. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the associate minister here, and I am so glad that you've joined us today. If you're viewing on Facebook and YouTube Live, please like and share this broadcast so we can continue to spread the good news of New Thought out into the world. Yes? Let us know where you're viewing from. And if this is your first time here, please remember to see a welcome team member out in the lobby. They have a gift especially for you. We continue our series of Sacred Boldness because we are bold and we are all sacred. So this is the last one, and I will be speaking today. But right now, what I would like to do is do our affirmation. And I will read it through one time, and then I'm going to ask you to join me. Yes? Yes. All right. Got it. All right. Today, I embrace sacred boldness. Courageously, I step outside my comfort zone, knowing that the creative power of the universe propels me into right action. I proclaim my right to love, peace, prosperity, and proclaim my capacity to achieve it. Boldness is my ally as I step forward today. Yes. All right, let's do this all together. Ready? All right. Today I embrace sacred boldness. Courageously I step outside my comfort zone, knowing that the creative power of the universe propels me into right action. I proclaim my right to love, peace, and prosperity, and proclaim my capacity to achieve it. Boldness is my ally, and I step forward today. And so it is. And with our announcements, please welcome Mally Lapete.
Thank you. Thanks, Ian, and everybody else. All my 40 days of summer come early, right? The dog days are here. My name is Mally Lapete, and I gladly serve on the creative arts team here at the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. My pronouns are she and her. We have so many great opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give at SLCA. For more information about today's announcements and other opportunities, scan the QR code found on your monitor. It's not too late to join the Reverend Dr. David Alexander's book study, Freedom from Discord. If you haven't purchased your copy, order it now on Amazon Prime or anywhere else that you want. And join one of the summer book study groups that are meeting weekly on Zoom. Register today and find out everything you need to know by logging into the website newthoughtaeducation.com. July 7th, next Sunday, is our monthly potluck and bring a friend Sunday. Yeah, if you have been considering inviting your friends and introducing them to our Sunday experience, now's the time. They get to meet other people and enjoy our food that we make or bring. We're excited to meet your friends, truly, and welcome them to the SLCA family as we share great food and amazing fellowship following the service. As our community grows, we're looking for those willing to volunteer. Please consider donating one Sunday a month and serve on one of our many SLCA teams. You know you have time. We need it. Yeah. We are specifically looking for those to join our hospitality team. It doesn't take a lot of time and it's really fun. You'll never know what you'll find out about the person next to you when you're doing dishes with them. All right. So, please speak with Shannon after the service to find the perfect way you can serve. He's not here today, but you can talk to Reverend Jean or me. And thank you for joining us today. We look forward to visiting with you after the service in the social hall to fellowship and eat. Remember, you belong.
Thank you, Mally. Please welcome Maria. Maria is going to sing a beautiful song. I'm so glad to have you back, Maria. Maria Risotto, please.
Good morning. Oh, check. There we go. You got to be the light If you want to see the light, you got to be the light. If you want to see the light, you got to be the light. If you want to see the light, because you reap what you sow, you meet what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. You got to be the love if you want to see the love. You got to be the love if you want to see the love. Because you reap what you sow, you meet what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing. Yeah. Don't tell me that your life is a desert. Somebody gotta quench your thirst. You can dance, you can pray for the water, but you better get your head straight first. You've got to be the light. If you want to see the light, you got to be the light. You want to see the light, because you reap what you sow, you meet what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Yeah, give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing, yeah. Give a little bit of that good thing, yeah. Oh, if you wanna see the love, you got to be the love, be the love, be the love, yeah. Come on and be the love, be the light, oh yeah. You got to be the light, and give a little bit of that good thing if you want to, if you want to, if you wanna receive.
Maria Risotto.
Thank you.
She'll be back. Oh, so beautiful. So as I gently close my eyes, I just have to carry that smile on my face. So beautiful. Thank you, Maria. Open your mind. Unfold your heart. Relax your senses. Feel every part. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound. Unbound. Breathe every breath. Release your cringe. Love without waiting, without waiting. Slowly unhinge. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound. Unbound.
Today is the day that God hath made. I am rejoicing and so glad in it. This is what I know. I know that God is all there is, all-knowing, all-powerful. God is everywhere, and God is all the time. This universal energy presence is with us 24/7. Are we calling on it 24/7? It's there. God is love. God is light. God is joy. God is divine well-being, prosperity, health, all there is. So in this time of upheaval and all kinds of things that are happening in the world today, it's good to call on peace. Peace. Peace in our lives, peace in our heart. Which is needed all over the world at this time. So as we do our daily spiritual practice, as we move forward in this world, which I know we all do work on peace, but it might be a good thing if we work on it a little bit, put a little bit more emphasis on it now. The universe gives us the desires of our heart. Sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we need to be reminded to set that intention daily, a peace. Peace. Peace in the Middle East. Peace in our country. Peace in our state, peace in our city, peace in our homes. But let it begin with us. Cultivating that energy within. See it, know it, feel it, and release it and allow it out into the universe. Peace that knows all understanding. Our angels are sitting there a lot of times with dust on their wings because we haven't given them a task to go forth with. Let's keep them busy. Remembering that the universe gives you the desires of your heart. Staying in alignment with spirit. see it in your mind's eye. Feel it happening. Feel the feeling of everything moving and going smoothly in life. Remember, God is everywhere all the time, all-knowing. And we celebrate that. We give joy for this knowing. And we give thanks. That we can do that. And it works. We just have to work it. We've got to remember to work it. Spiritual practice. So with that knowing and reminding, we'll move forward in our lives. Knowing that it is done. God is good, and we give thanks and appreciation for all the love, joy, prosperity, divine well-being, and peace that we experience on a daily basis. And with that, I say, and say with me, and so it is.
You can stop waiting for love to find you. Look inside your heart. Love's already who you are. So lift up your voice. Let it be heard. Tell me your story, tell it to me. Don't leave out a word. Cause I think I have been there too. I'm a seeker just like you. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound, unbound. So it is. Thank you, Adela. It's a powerful prayer. Thank you.
Let's see what happens.
I've come a long way down this road, always learning as I go. But you can't look backwards and get ahead. It's time to lead and not be led. Goodbye limitation, hello liberation. Goodbye frustration, hello to living my life by my design. Breaking those chains that bind my mind, learning the color outside the line. Dare to be, dare to be, dare to be, dare to be unconventional. Uniformity is getting old. Time for gutsy, time for bold. It's time for me to break the mold. Time to see how far I can go. Goodbye limitation, hello liberation. Goodbye frustration, hello to living my life outside design. Breaking those chains that bind my mind. Learning the color outside the line. Dare to be, dare to be. One of a kind. Goodbye limitation, hello liberation. Goodbye frustration, hello to living my life by my design. Breaking those chains that bind my mind. Learning to color outside the lines. To be, dare 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 to be you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was fun, huh?
All right, good afternoon again. If you're just joining us, I'm Reverend Jean Bell, the Associate Minister here, and we're finishing up our series on sacred boldness, and I must say, that was bold. Thank you so much. Thank you, Adela, for that wonderful prayer, and thank you, Penelope, always, for the wonderful music. So I'm going to tell you a story. Even though I wrote most of it down, I know this story pretty well. So back in the 90s, I lived in Mannheim, Germany. I lived in Mannheim, Germany for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. And over time, the area started having a lot of crime. And I had walked down into the garage where the cars were parked, and a couple of cars were broken in. One of the cars next to mine was broken into. And that kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I told my partner at the time, I think it's time to move. And so we packed up and moved to the burbs. We found a great little city right outside of Mannheim called Fernheim, and some of the farmers had sold their fields, so they were building new apartments and houses, and we found a great duplex with a backyard and a standalone garage, and we really felt safe there. And so one day, I'm chilling because we didn't have central air back then. That was a long time ago because Germany didn't really get that hot. And the way they designed the houses, there's always a nice breeze blowing through, and the fabric allowed for that to breathe. So I had the door ajar, and I'm relaxing, and then I hear a child scream. I jumped up, and he's not only screaming, he's yelling for help. He's crying for his mother. And I go to outside and I look and I see it's my next door neighbor's son. He's about 8 or 9 years old, and he's on the ground crying, holding his leg, and I jumped over the fence before I even knew it. I mean, I literally hoisted myself up and sprang and ran to him. I don't think I could do that now. Thinking about that fence, I know I couldn't do it now. And when I got to him, well, he had stepped on a 4-inch nail. And it went right through the shoe, right through his foot. There was a lot of residual construction debris because, like I said, they were building new houses all the time. And that particular lot, a house was going to be built. They just threw all of the debris in that lot. And eventually it would have been cleaned up, but it was a hazard. So, as I looked at him, I said, I'm going to have to pull this out. And he started crying even more. I was like, it's going to be okay. I said, that's the only way. Trust me, I don't even want to touch it, but we got to get you home. So through his sobs, he agreed. And I said, okay, on the count of 3, I'm going to pull it out. And so on the count of 1, I yanked it out. He let out such a blood-curdling scream. I felt so bad. I just drew him close. I said, the worst is over. I'm going to get you home to Mom. So I tried to get him up off the ground, and he collapsed back down. He said, I can't walk. I can't walk. I'm like, okay. He's about 75 pounds, and I couldn't bend it much more. But there was a lot of adrenaline going on. So I hoisted him up in my arms, and I was able to carry him. And I got him home, finally, to his mom. Now, I'm telling you this story not because I want adoration for my sacred boldness at the time, because I realized that it was a cry for help. He cried out, and at that point in time in my life, I had no religious or spiritual affinity. I didn't care about my neighbor, in a sense of a spiritual way. But I want to believe that it was a sacred boldness within me, an indwelling presence that drove me to help someone in need, someone hurt, in pain, and afraid. His mother and he came by a couple of days later with bouquets of flowers and thanked me and all. But I wasn't a shero. I think any of us in this room would have done the same. When I look back on that day, I truly believe my actions were propelled by Spirit. I answered the call of self to self. And I reflected on my actions, and I realized several things had to happen in order for me to bring that child safely home. First and foremost, I had to hear the cry. I had to hear the cry for help. And just as equally important, I had to respond to that call. I could have been indifferent and thought, not my child, not my problem. Next, I had to assess and determine how could I help. Once I determined the solution, pull out the nail, I had to implement the solution. And I say I had to implement it because I did not want to pull that nail out. I shuddered at the sight of his little foot being impaled by that very long nail. Yet, I knew it had to be done. Next, I had to assess what else needed to remedy the solution, get him home, and evaluate the next problem. He can't walk on his own. And implement the solution. I had to muster the strength to carry him. Then I recognized he was traumatized by his experience, and so, me too, a little bit. So I comforted him with soothing words and a loving voice, and he eventually laid his head on my shoulder and stopped crying. I like to think he felt loved and safe with me. Finally, I delivered him home safely to his mother. So, in answering a call for help, I realized more steps were involved than I may at first realized. And sometimes I may have only had a finite point of view. Now, the thing I didn't do that day was address the true cause of the situation. A land filled with dangerous construction debris. In fact, when I pulled the nail out of his foot, I tossed it back into the lot. There were so many things that needed to be addressed that day, and the true cause of the pain remained unchanged. You know, whenever we do a spiritual mind treatment, also known as an affirmative prayer, and for those that are new to this philosophy that do not know what an affirmative prayer is, please see one of the practitioners and our ministers afterwards, and they'd be more than glad to explain to you what it is. And I'll point them out to you, so you go see them. So when we do a spiritual mind treatment, we must first assess what the condition is. What is the cause back of the issue? What's the problem? In order to know the spiritual truth for that situation, for the matter. We have to know what the true cause of pain or discord. So when I remembered that event so many years ago, it made me think about our current state of affairs. And that right now in our city, in our country, in the world, there are so many cries for help that have gone and continue to go unanswered. The cries of injustice and inequality have gone out for centuries, and over time, many people have heeded the call and came to the aid of those oppressed, hurt, afraid, burdened under injustice. However, it is the root cause of injustice and inequality that is so oftentimes not identified. And even if it is identified, it is left unresolved because it seems too big to deal with. And we end up just treating or responding to the symptoms, which is just like pulling out the nail and tossing it back in the mess from which it was created. You see, the injustice and inequality plaguing our nation and the world has its root cause in the current antiquated paradigm held in place by our society's collective consciousness. Did you hear that? You know, Ernest Holmes wrote about this. He called collective consciousness race consciousness. Now I got a little clicker somewhere, or I had one. But I know my wonderful team up there will advance it for me. Thank you. He called it race consciousness, and in his Science of Mind text, he says the combined thought of those that inhabit a nation creates a national consciousness, which we speak of as the psychology or the mindset or consciousness of that people. He goes on to say that the history of the race, is written in the mental atmosphere of the globe on which we live. And there is a tendency on the part of all of us to reproduce the accumulated subjective experiences of the human race. Now, I know that was a mouthful, but think about that. He's talking about we speak of as the psychology, the mindset. Now, I particularly like to call race suggestion, or which he is speaking about as paradigms of consciousness. And if you know anything about paradigms, it's a set of rules and regulations that a collective, a group of people hold in place by the way their atmosphere, their mental atmosphere is thinking. I have a definition here that says paradigms are archetypes or intangible structures which give a unified perspective over a range of experiences. Paradigms are sets of rules and regulations that describe boundaries, systemic racism, boundaries, poverty, boundaries, disease. And these boundaries are held in place by our societal experience. These paradigms of consciousness are held in place because it becomes a national consciousness or a global consciousness. And in some cases, they are hard to distinguish and hard to tackle because they're so big and so many people have bought into them. You know, Holmes put it as the mental atmosphere of the globe in which we live. And if we look out now, right here and right now, at that mental atmosphere of the globe, what is it that is needed? It's need an answering to a call and cry for help. There are wars. There are so many people that are hungry right in our own city. We have individuals here, members, that volunteer their time at Toco Hills Alliance, and they're giving out food to cars and cars after cars of people. You're saying, well, if they have cars, can't they afford their own food? We know better than that. We know that they need their cars to get to work just to be able to pay for their rent, to be able to pay for their childcare, to be able to pay for their electricity and their gas bill. And where does that leave them short? You can't eat beans and franks 24/7. I mean, you can, because I do like them. But you shouldn't. It's not nutritious. So we got wonderful people here in this community that dedicate their time and their effort to ensure that people in our community are being fed. Bravo. Bravo. But what I will say to that is, that's treating the symptom. You hear me? It's just treating the symptom. We're not going back to the root cause of why they don't have money to buy adequate groceries for their family. So we can say, and currently, we can all agree that there is a paradigm, a mental atmosphere of inequality and injustice of every type playing out on the field of human affairs. Racism, sexism, ageism, homophobia, environmental abuse, wars. I put ageism in there because a lot of times people don't realize what's happening. People can't get a job, or if they lose their job, they can't get a job because, oh, they're too old, they won't catch on, they don't know how to do this, they don't know how to do that. I've even fallen into that own trap myself and said, well, maybe they don't understand how to operate a particular system or thing because of how old they are. They're not used to it. They're not acquainted with it. They didn't grow up with it. You know, all these things are tied up in this collective consciousness. And we, as Reverend David said in his book, From Freedom from Discord, and yes, I did bring it. You should get it. It's great. He said in the book, as adherents to this new thought philosophy called science of mind, we can positively impact issues of social justice and collective consciousness. We, in this philosophy. And I believe him. You see, we have to answer the call for help and act on what we say we believe in order to create a world that works for everyone. It requires a conscious and an intentional approach of our principles that extend beyond passive observation. To change the paradigm that has been embedded in place for so long, we must start embodying what we stand for, aligning our actions, our consciousness with our values, and being living examples of the positive change we wish to see. We must stop treating just a symptom and get to the root cause, a faulty, broken paradigm of systemic injustice, oppression, and inequality. Now, our founder, Ernest Holmes, if you don't know much about him, you should look him up because he's a great guy. I really like him. If I had a child, I would name him Ernest, for sure. Maybe my next pet. Anyway, one of his principles in the Declaration of Principles state, we believe that the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from discord of every nature, and this goal is sure to be obtained by all. That's a lot. That's a vision statement right there. How does this goal get attained by all? It's certainly not by ignoring the abhorrent conditions and pretending all is well. First and foremost, we must hear the cry for help. And just as equally important, we have to respond to that call and take action by asserting and assessing what the root cause is, a paradigm of consciousness that no longer works at all. Reverend Dr. David Alexander stated in his book, Freedom from Discord, adherents of New Thought are beginning to realize that the world that works for everyone they envision will only be made manifest through the hands of those willing to build it. Put simply, you cannot continue to practice the principles of New Thought while remaining ignorant of or indifferent to the ways in which consciousness creates inequity just as much as it creates liberation. Don't pull the nail out and toss it back in the mess from whence it came. We are being called to use our spiritual principles, practices, and values out into the world to help raise up a new consciousness, a new paradigm, which all of Spirit's attributes reign supreme. All of its love, its power, peace, well-being, oneness, justice, sacred stewardness, and sacred boldness, and equality. As a spiritual community, we must heed the cry and answer the call and use the science of mind philosophy to inspire ourselves and all who we encounter. We are to engage in the world and change and be the change that is so needed to bring forth justice. As members of this philosophy, it is up to us to claim what is ours to do to break through the faulty paradigm that has bogged down our nation and the world. Adela spoke about peace in her treatment. She spoke about peace being needed in the world today, and we see that everywhere. Not just in Palestine, not just in Israel, not just in Darfur or the Sudan or in, what is it called? It used to be called Siam. All these places right now are hurting. And who hurts the worst? The women, the children, the poor, the disenfranchised. They're the first ones to feel the most pain. You know, whether we're voting, supporting organizations aligned with a vision of a better world, or as a community using our collective voices to declare a greater truth of our collective experiences, we've got to find out what is ours to do. And we've got to act on it. We have to heed the call. And that's what sacred boldness is all about. We are all connected in centers of consciousness in the mind of spirit. And every action we take in that awareness is filled with its power and presence. See, we get to unleash the God-given power as one people, united for the good of all humanity. Let us this day answer the call for a positive consciousness shift. Shift that fosters a reality of unity, harmony, and thriving for everyone. We are its change agents. We can answer the cry. a whole world impaled with the debris and garbage of injustice and inequality. And through our principles, we get to lift up humanity's consciousness and usher in a new global paradigm that takes the best of what New Thought offers to bring forth the manifestation of a world that works for all people and all creation. So I invite you to read this book, The Promise of New Thought Liberation Theology. And I invite you to see how it lines up with our science of mind philosophy. Because science of mind right now is on the precipice of playing a vital role in the leadership, in the evolution, and the application of a new paradigm in consciousness. And these are just not words that I wrote. In fact, let me close them and let you know that we, as believers in this philosophy, have the opportunity to make a great change out into the world. We have the opportunity to take this philosophy and be living examples of it and move forth and let the whole world know that we are ready. We are ready to speak the truth to power. We are ready to make active change out in the world. We are ready to be Spirit's hands, its voice, its feet. And we're ready to pull out all the rusty nails, all of them, and toss them not back there, but go to where the first cause of this corruption is, a faulty paradigm, and make that change through our consciousness. Everybody treating and praying and moving your feet. And so it is. Will the practitioners please come forth? So these are the ones that if you need to know what affirmative prayer and science of mind, spiritual mind treatment is, these are the ones that you need to ask because they have trained for years to become practitioners and or ministers. These are the individuals that have dedicated their life to the presence of the divine. And so after service, they will be available for affirmative prayer. But right now, I want to thank each and every one of you for your donations, for your pledges, because this is how we continue to get the message of New Thought out into the world. So thank you. So what I want you to do, if you pledge electronically, just put your hand over your heart. If you have a check or cash and you put it in your box, hold your donation in your hand. And I want you to say this with me, together, our grateful giving. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. Thank you, everyone.
And I'm going to echo what she just said because I'm in the book study, and I'm enjoying it so very much. And I'm with people from around the nation studying this book, and it is so potent. It is so powerful. It brings to life this movement, and it brings to life the majesty of the work that we do. So please join us. We have numerous hours and days, 4 different study groups. You can just come on in and be a part of it, be part of the change and get support for how you may be feeling as well. So I invite you also to join us downstairs because we're going to be celebrating our community with some great food. I know we are. And I invite you to also close as we sing together our closing song I wrote just for us. And we can share it with the world. We envision a world that works for everyone. All of creation, we see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. Yeah, we envision our entire media team. Have a great afternoon.